I'm back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This week on Sportsbook Confidential, I'll talk about how to read betting odds and does the Buffalo Bills' awfulness actually make their games worth betting on? So let's get into it. And my name is John Sullivan, and this little program here is designed to help you learn and grow as a sports bettor. So we got lots to talk about today. And for those of you that watched last week, you may remember that we talked about bankroll and how to size your bankroll and size your bet for beginning bettors. And we're going to start every episode by updating our bankroll and keep that process going. So let's get right into it. And I'll pull this up. So you can see that last week our starting bankroll was $782. And we made a total of 4 wagers, and those wagers went 2 and 2. You can see LSU won with a profit of $24, and the Calgary CFL game also went over. That won for $24. And then I bet the Steelers under, which did not win, and that was a minus $26. And the Patriots lost to Jacksonville, and that was a pretty ugly game. And they also lost me $26. So if you do the math there, my overall, my net profit for the week, it was actually a loss of $4. So my new bankroll going into week 3 of the NFL is now $778. And as you remember last week, we divided our bankroll by 30 to determine our wager size. And I'm staying right at $26. So that's where we're at for this week, and we'll talk more about what wagers we're going to make and what games we're looking at. But today's lesson is all about sports betting odds. And for those of you that are watching that are beginning bettors, this is a very, very important first step. When you walk into a sports book for the first time, you're going to be overwhelmed. There's going to be a wall of information with just numbers everywhere. And you're going to see all this data, and you're not going to know what to make of it. This is information you need to understand if you're going to place an informed wager. So let's start by looking at the odds for the Syracuse game and what you might see if you walked into a sports book and you wanted to bet on the Syracuse-UConn game. And you'll see these numbers right here. You can see it says 325 Connecticut plus 27.5, et cetera, et cetera. 326 Syracuse minus 27.5. So let's break this down and let's see what all these numbers mean. 325 and 326 are what is known as the rotation numbers. And those are numbers that the sports book assigns to each game for like a reference number for you, so you can walk up to get your ticket made and you can just say, instead of saying UConn plus 27.5, you say 325, the point spread for $20 or whatever. So it helps the counter person quickly write your ticket. And obviously 27.5 here is the point spread on the game. You can see that UConn is getting 27.5 points, and Syracuse is laying 27.5 points. So Syracuse has to win by 28 or more for that wager to win. And anything less than that, the UConn would win the point spread bet. So the numbers next to the point spreads are the odds or the payouts for those particular wagers. So as you can see, if you bet the UConn side, the payout is plus 101. And that number is the odds, and it indicates $101 profit for every $100 wagered. Excuse me. And you can see the other side is Syracuse. You get odds of minus 113. And that means $100 profit for every $113 wagered. So using our $26 wager size example, if I made a $26 wager on UConn at plus 27.5, that would profit $26.26 if I won. And similarly, a $26 wager on Syracuse at minus 113 would pay $23 even profit if the wager won. You can see the odds are not as good on that wager. And then on the right-hand side of our data, you see the number 76, and then you see two more odds. Now, the 76 represents the total, which is also, a lot of people call that the over-under on betting a game. It's the total points scored in the game. So the bookmaker is saying the over-under is 76. You can bet over 76 points scored, or you can bet under 76 points scored. And you can see right here, I have these examples. A $26 wager on the over 76 would profit $25.24 and at minus 103 odds there. And then the $26 wager on under 76 minus 111 would profit $23.40. Now, you don't need to know that math specifically if you're going to place a wager in the sports book. But you do have to realize if you're going in to place a wager, the ticket will tell you how much money you will make on the bet. You need to know what the odds are to get an approximate idea of the payout. And there's a couple more points. You need to know the odds before placing a wager. It's a matter of risk being worth the reward and vice versa. So if you're getting very good odds on a wager, even though the wager is less likely to win, if the payout's high enough, sometimes it's worth it to take that risk. You need to decide what to bet and when to bet it. So when you walk in, you need to know what the spread is, what the total is, and what the odds are, so you can get an approximate idea of what you would like to bet. And if you know your wager size, you don't really need to know what the exact payout is, but you need to be able to look at those numbers and have an idea of what the payout is. The reason I go through all this is because it's part of the mission of this whole show, is that the sportsbook is not your friend. They want you to walk into their sportsbook uninformed. And if you are both prepared and confident, this is going to go a long way to making you profitable. And also, if you're prepared, you'll be more selective and you won't just be throwing money away. It's fun to bet on sports, and you do it for the excitement of it all and the entertainment value, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But why not, either try to win money or make your money last instead of just giving it to the sports book? And that's what I'm trying to import to you today. So that wraps up our sportsbook lesson for the day. And why don't we, as we move on to the weekend in football, why don't we start with the college games? As we've already talked about the Syracuse odds. So let me put that screen up for you. And here we are. We have 3 games I'm going to look at today. And let's start with the Syracuse game. I think this line is pretty much a complete overreaction to Syracuse's win last week with Florida State. Florida State's a bad team this year. The program's in flux with a new coach and a new system. They do have good athletes, but UConn is a team that plays very similar to Syracuse. They try to maximize offensive possessions, and their games have been very high scoring so far. I don't know if Syracuse can win this one by 28. I'm more worried about their defense than their offense. This total is pretty high at 76. It's probably pretty accurate. This game could be 53-38. This game could be, 54-42. It could go either way, but I don't like that number. If that number was in the 60s, I'd probably take the over. If I was going to bet this game, I'd actually lean UConn, especially at 28. If it got up to 28, I would definitely take UConn here. But this game is really a pass for me. No official play. So we have 2 Other games in college this week that are matchups of ranked teams. And in the afternoon, we've got Texas A&M at Alabama. And Nick Saban, don't think for 1 second he isn't aware of what the point spread is on this game. The college football whole playoff system is based on a series of formulas and polls that include strength of schedule and margin of victory. So if he feels like he needs to run up the score to help his chances of getting in the playoff, he's going to run up the score. This was lined at, 26, and the over-under 61. I actually think you'd lean towards the over here, but I don't know. I can't lay 26 points. I don't think Texas. I think if this game was in College Station, that line would be a lot more competitive for plus 26. But once again, this game, not only do I not think it's going to be competitive, I don't think it's worth betting on, and I probably won't even watch it. But my best feel on this game is the over 61. So, and in the evening in the Pac-12, we have 7th-ranked Stanford going to 20th-ranked Oregon, and this is a very important game in determining who's going to win the Pac-12, who's going to go to the Pac-12 championship game. Stanford right now is, I believe, the highest-ranked team in the Pac-12. Washington is similarly ranked. I think they're a few spaces below. Stanford has an awesome defense. The last time I looked, their star back, Bryce Love, was supposed to play in this game, but Stanford is not an offensive powerhouse. They only put up 17 on USC, but they only gave up 3 points. This game is very close. It's Oregon's getting 2 points. I think if that was over 3, I would probably take Oregon here. But people are going to think Oregon to be the super efficient, maximize up-tempo offense that they were under the Chip Kelly years. Not exactly the same team as they were back then. This is a play for me at under 56. So that's my first play this week. And my only college play of the week is Stanford at Oregon, under 56. This should be a very competitive, close game. And if I can stay awake that long, I'm going to give it a watch. So that's it for my college plays this week. And let's move right along to our pro games. And we have both NFL and my one CFL pick this week. So let's take a look at what we got. And let's first talk about the Buffalo Bills. Now, I have no conceivable notion that the Bills are going to win this week, and they're 17-point underdogs. And I wore my Bills gear week 1, and they got crushed by 40-something points. But the one thing I do want to point out is, as they go on the road to Minnesota, is that both of their games easily went over 40 points. And I'm really surprised that this game is total is so low. It actually opened, I think, at 41.5, and now it's down to 40.5. And this, to me, is an easy play. I'm taking the over 40.5 here. Whether the Vikings score 40 on their own or the Bills can cough up, 10, 14, 16 points, I feel like that's, if the Bills can score 14 points, you're looking at Minnesota putting up 27, which shouldn't be difficult. So that's going to be my first play of the NFL this week. Bills and Vikings over 40.5. I'm going to move on to the New York Giants playing at the Texans, and boy, did the Giants look awful last Sunday night. Literally, Eli Manning was dazed. There were a couple of, video clips I've seen of him getting up and looking bewildered. They did not look good. Saquon Barkley actually looked good, although he didn't have any huge plays. He was always like just one missed tackle away from a big one. He looks very impressive. But I don't know if that's enough for the Giants to get over the hump here. Conversely, the Texans are a team that are not together offensively. One of their defensive stars was out last week. The game was very close. It was a division game with Tennessee. I do like the Texans to win this game. I don't like the point spread at all. I don't like the total at all, 42.5. You don't know what you're going to get out of the Giants. I think you're going to get 20 points out of the Texans. They've averaged 20 points basically the last 2 weeks. And that's about all I got for that game. That game's a total pass for me. So the Jets obviously already played on Thursday if you watched last night. So moving on to the Chargers at the Rams in the LA Coliseum. And right now the Rams are 7.5-point favorites. The total is 48. I like the Chargers in this game. The Chargers gave up a lot of points to Kansas City, and they'll probably give up a lot of points to the Rams. But they were only 1 or 2 plays away from being very competitive with Kansas City, and obviously they took care of the Bills on the road without any problem. I feel like this 7.5 is a complete overreaction to the Rams shutting out the Arizona Cardinals. These teams are a lot closer than, getting more than a touchdown. I feel like you have to take the Chargers here. So that's going to be my second play this week. I'm taking the LA Chargers plus 7.5. And I do like the over in this game, 48. I feel like if the Chargers are going to be competitive, they're going to have to score a lot of points. So I expect a lot of passing on the Charger side. They do have good running backs. There's excellent running games here. Obviously, the Rams have a better defense than the Chargers do. But I feel like this game is definitely going to be a one-score game. Or the Chargers can make it a one-score game late, whatever. But that's my second play, LA Chargers plus 7.5. Let's move on to the Patriots taking on the hapless Detroit Lions in the Sunday night game. There's two narratives here, if you believe in the narrative street, which narrative street is using a storyline to justify betting on a game when most people use data. And you have Matt Patricia, the former defensive coordinator for New England, playing his former team. And you also have Patriots coming off a loss. They've traditionally been very good in the Tom Brady era. And they face a defense that's given up a ton of points. They gave up 40-something points to the Jets in week 1. And then they gave up 30 points to the San Francisco 49ers. But they did give up special teams and defensive touchdowns in that first week. So what sticks to me the most is in the first 2 weeks for the Patriots that their games have not gone over 51. They had 47 points scored against the Texans total, and then they had 51 points scored against Jacksonville total. Now, Jacksonville is a very good defense. Texans are above average defense. I don't think they're completely whole right now, but that game was in New England. So what I like in this game, which a lot of people are probably going in the other direction, is I like the under here, under 53.5, and that is going to be my third play in the NFL this week. You may want to wait on this game. I feel like a lot of people are going to hit the over, and it may get up to 55, and that's a key number, 54, 55. That's like an extra field goal, an extra couple of conversions. So see where it goes, but I like this. I'm going to take it at 53.5, and that's my third NFL play of the week. And finally, in the CFL tonight, if you want to play football, if you want to watch and bet on football on Friday night, we have Johnny Manziel and the Montreal Alouettes moving on to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Manitoba. And this game is a battle of last place teams. And both teams are kind of in disarray. Matt Nichols, who's a very good quarterback in my opinion, has had a struggling year in Winnipeg. They usually play pretty good at home. However, their Their defense has been more porous than usual. Their special teams has not been very good this year. We don't really know what we're getting with Johnny Manziel, but they have no choice but to start him at this point. Their other quarterback, Pipkin, the rookie, cannot throw very well. Anything that's over 5-10 yards, he has trouble making the throw. So Manziel has almost as much escapability as Pipkin, but he throws a better ball. The spread on this game is 10.5. It could go up to 11. I feel like that's kind of a strong play. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that there hasn't been one CFL team that has covered as a double-digit favorite this year. So anybody that's been favored by 10 or more than 10, I should say, has not covered this year. So if this gets up to 11, that makes me really want to take Montreal. But I feel like the under is the play here. Montreal has a good defense. Winnipeg is struggling offensively. Montreal is struggling offensively. Neither one of these teams has, a special teams breakaway returner that's going to get a quick special teams touchdown. So my CFL play this week for Friday night is Montreal-Winnipeg under 54, and that's going to be my only CFL play this week. So we've got three NFL plays, one CFL play, and one college play. And before we look at the review of the bets, I actually took the time to list my fantasy picks for this week in the NFL. So if you're going to play some fantasy sports this weekend, these are my choices. Start off with quarterback Matt Ryan. You've got Atlanta at home versus New Orleans. New Orleans gave up 21 points to the Browns 18 points to the Browns last week, and even though they missed the field goals and the conversions, it could have been easily 25 or so. They gave up all those points in week one. So I feel like Atlanta has got their offense together after that game against the Eagles. I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I also feel like Atlanta is going to get the job done. The only quarterback I'm really looking at today is Matt Ryan. A lot of people are going to have the Kansas City quarterback. A lot of people are going to have the LA Rams quarterback. I feel like Matt Ryan is priced right and gives you the good balance that you're going to need. On the running backs, there's only two that I like this week, and I'm going to use both of them. Todd Gurley for the Rams and Matt Breida for San Francisco. The San Francisco's playing Kansas City, and Kansas City scores a ton, but they also give up a ton. Breida had a huge game last week against the Lions. I don't think he's going to have another 150-yard night, but he'll hopefully do another 100, above expectation there. The Kansas City defense is not above average, in my opinion. Gurley will get touches, will get targets. He actually got rested in the third and fourth quarter of the game last week because they were so far ahead. They said he had cramps, but I think they just put him out for safety precautions. And I looked over the other running backs. There's nobody else that really, Alvin Kamara will probably get a ton of touches for New Orleans, but there's nobody else really that I like going forward here. And so the wide receivers is where I'm going to really concentrate on this week. And if I have extra, what they call flex positions, I'm probably going to put wide receivers in. And these are the wide receivers I'm choosing this week. Obviously, Julio Jones to go up with Matt Ryan to be my pair. And I think Antonio Brown is going to have a statement game on Monday. Now, some fantasy games only take the Sunday games. They don't count the Monday game. But if yours counts the Monday game, I feel like Antonio Brown, after all the drama last week with the Steelers and him doing the tweet about trade me, and I think he feels like he needs to make a statement this week. Look for him to do something special. Adam Thielen for the Vikings, he's their top target guy. He will probably have lots of chances to score touchdowns against the Bills this week. Cooper Kupp for the Rams. He's their top possession receiver. He gets red zone targets. I really like him. He's very reasonably priced. All of the Rams receivers are good looks this week, but he's the one I like the best. Allen Robinson for the Bears. The Bears are playing at Arizona, and Mitchell Trubisky has a very good opportunity to rack up some passing yards. So I like Allen Robinson, who's been his top target, to get some touches and maybe a score or two. And then Randall Cobb, Green Bay is at Washington. Obviously, any Green Bay player I pick is contingent upon Aaron Rodgers playing. So, but he is tremendous value this week. I feel like he can get a red zone target or two. So all those wide receivers, you can make a nice mix out of that. Pick 3 or 4 guys. And then tight ends, Austin Hooper is my top choice. Again, to pair with Matt Ryan. He's the second most targeted receiver after Julio Jones on the Falcons, and he does get red zone targets. And Will Dissly for the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson had an awful game last week, and the passing game was in disarray, but the one guy that he seemed to be able to get the ball to was the tight end, and that he knows how to get yards after the catch. Look for him if he can grab 4 or 5 balls to have a big day. So that's your cheap tight end if you need a cheap tight end. In defense, I'm going with the Ravens, and the Broncos are going to Baltimore, and Baltimore doesn't look like a super duper team this year, but the Broncos seem to have trouble scoring points. And I would be surprised if they score 20 points this week. So look for the Ravens to get some turnovers and a good cheap defense for you to play with. So before we wrap it up, let's just take a look at my wagers for this week. We've got, for tonight, Montreal and Winnipeg, under 54 if you're into 3-down football. And on Saturday, the late night game, Stanford at Oregon, we've got under 56. And then Sunday, the Buffalo Bills at the Minnesota Vikings, over 40.5 total points scored. And then in the afternoon, we've got the Chargers plus 7.5 against the Rams. And then the night game is Patriots and Lions. We're going to go under 53.5. So we got 5 total picks this week. Another exciting weekend of football for you. Thanks for watching. 29 minutes. We're doing pretty good here. So I'm going to start by playing this outro music, and let's get this done. Have some winners. Be sports confident. Bet confident. Goodbye.